Hey guys, it's Lindsay. Welcome back to my channel. So today we are doing a little Coraline themed palette, hence my kind of Coraline themed outfit, or Coraline inspired, I guess you'd say. So this is the Otherworld palette. It's from an indie brand called Misfit Beauty Company, or Misfit Beauty Co. I assume it stands for company. Let me just show you. This is what the palette looks like from the outside. This is the back. And then these are the shades right here. So they are really beautiful shades. So I was instantly drawn in to this particular palette, and they ended up doing a pre-order for it. And they actually did a pre-order based on just the image of the palette. It was just like a computer image, but quite honestly, I didn't care. I was pretty much sold at Coraline, so I bought it. So there has been a little bit of negativity surrounding this release, and just like with the Bombshell Cosmetica release, I kind of want to make sure that it's at least touched on here in this video, because I don't try to be a very negative channel. I try to be as positive of a channel as I possibly can. Like, I'll point out an issue if I see one, but I do like to try to find the silver lining or the good in things. That's just my nature. Really, more than anything, I want to make sure that you guys are just an informed consumer, because you're capable of making your own decisions, just like I'm, able to make my own decisions. So I'm just going to give you all the information I know, and you guys can make your own decision on what you want to do, if you want to buy something like this or not. So the issues with this palette and this launch came about where after a certain period of time, and obviously it was a pre-order, so everybody knew it was a pre-order and everybody was okay with that. But after a certain period of time, we still hadn't seen any photos of what the palette looked like what a mock-up of the palette looked like. We hadn't seen an actual shadow. We hadn't seen any swatches. And I'm gonna be real honest, I'm the kind of person, I pre-order a lot of stuff. I order from a lot of smaller indie brands, so I can definitely place an order and kind of just forget about it. And it doesn't really make me one difference. It doesn't bother me at all. And that's kind of how I was with this palette. But I watch a lot of channels that do a lot of indie brand stuff and like interact with a lot of people who buy a lot of indie brand stuff. And I started seeing their comments about it. So it kind of perked me up to kind of like, oh, what's going on? Oh yeah, I guess it has been a while that we haven't seen anything. So that kind of made me think about it. So some of those people that I know and trust ended up deciding to cancel their orders. And once that happened, it kind of made me start getting a little paranoid, because I'm like, oh my God, are we being scammed here? And so I did start kind of feeding into that paranoia of why haven't we seen anything? And I was probably like this close. I was maybe like a day away from canceling my order just out of paranoia, and I got my tracking email. So, in the end, it's here. And I'm happy it's here. I still think it's a really fun palette. You guys know, I'm just a sucker for themes, and I do think it's a very beautiful palette. I think the colors that she chose are really gorgeous. So I'm actually, really happy that I own it. So hopefully, it performs really nicely. I feel like this particular brand owner seems to kind of keep a ear out on what people are saying about her brand. And so hopefully she understands what people didn't like about this launch, so she can change that for future launches. I have a feeling she didn't realize this was going to be as big of a hit as it was, because Coraline has a huge fan base. I guess, I didn't even realize how big of a fan base it has, but I think this palette maybe blew up a little bit faster than she thought it was going to. Maybe that's why, things happened faster and she couldn't keep up with it. But, in the future, hopefully she will make sure she shows swatches or photos, even if they're not the best photos, because honestly, that's all us customers really want, is to know that we're paying our money for something that we're actually going to be getting, and we just want to be able to see and know what we paid for. So that's understandable in my eyes. So that's all about that. I just want to make sure that you guys are fully aware of kind of like what happened as far as this launch goes. I know not everybody is comfortable buying from this brand because of those things. And again, that is your call completely. I bought it, I own it now. So I'm gonna go ahead and show you how some of these shadows perform, so that at least if you're curious about this brand, you can see how those shadows actually work. So let's go ahead and get into some swatches, and then I'll do an eye look. All right, here are the swatches. So these are all really pretty and vibrant. I did have to layer pretty much all of them up a really good bit to get the amount of color you're seeing here. I feel like these two mattes were probably the most pigmented. Even some of the shimmers needed some building up. But again, like I tend to say, swatches don't necessarily mean anything. So let's see how these perform on the eyes, and we'll just go from there. All right, I'm trying to decide what I want to do here. I think I might do some purple and blues, I'm thinking. Maybe that with like pink on the lower lash line. So let me go ahead and start. I think I'm gonna start straight into the blue. So this is What's Shakin' Baby. And I'm just gonna pop this into the crease. And I do have my primer, my good old Urban Decay primer on, and I did not set it. I'm just gonna kind of pat this down first. And then kind of blend it. It's definitely a bit of a more sheer shade than I was anticipating. Pop some on this outer corner. I'm gonna switch over to my smaller blending brush just so that I can get a bit more concentrated in the crease area, especially on this inner portion. I kind of want to take the yellow and blend over the top of it, even though I know it's gonna turn it green. All right, I'm gonna do it, why not? I'm gonna take Yellow Raincoat and I'm just gonna very lightly blend at the very top edge. May as well just kind of blend down a little bit and go ahead and let it turn a bit green. Maybe I'll use the green on the lid somewhere to tie that in. And then once more back into the blue to lightly blend them together. Okay, it pretty much turned mostly green, but I kind of like the way it looks. I think I'm gonna go ahead and jump down to the lower lash line because I don't fully know what I want to do on the lid yet. So I'm gonna line the lower lash line with this purple shade, which is the Other Mother. And then with my pencil brush, I'm just gonna take a little bit more of the Other Mother and just kind of blend it out a little bit. And then I'm gonna dip into the hot pink shade, which is Miss Forcible, and I'm gonna buff that underneath it even more. And then a touch back into the Other Mother purple. I feel like it blended it away, so I'm gonna kind of blend them together a bit better. Okay. Happy with that. All right, I think I'm just gonna go green into blue. Why not? So I'm gonna start with the blue, which is Coraline Jones, and I'm just gonna use my finger and place this on the outer portion of the lid. It's almost the same color as the other one. So I'm like, why didn't they just make one of them darker? Because it's not even that metallic either. Yeah, barely looks like I used a different color at all. Okay, all right, and then I'm gonna spray this brush and use the green shade. So I'm gonna pop the green shade on the inner portion. Kind of come across a bit, and then I'll come back down and make it kind of like a diagonal connection between the green and blue. Kind of let it fade into the blue a bit. I'm gonna flip this brush over and just actually grab some of that blue. I can kind of work on blending the two together a bit. Okay, all right. Inner corner highlight, what do I want to do? I kind of want to use this somewhere, but I don't know where. I'm gonna randomly just tap a little bit of this on the outside. Don't ask me why. This is the Tunnel Between Worlds. Ooh, I like the way it's looking over the top of that. All right, we're gonna do that. I'm just gonna it's like if you just tap it, it's almost like it just almost looks glittery. It's interesting. This is an interesting little shade. It feels different than the other ones. Huh, that turned out interesting. Like in a good way interesting. Take a little bit of that blue to kind of blend the edges. It turned into a really interesting kind of purplish color. So I think I am gonna dip a little bit into the other mother, the purple shade, just right here on this very, very outer corner so that it looks like I meant to do it that way. Okay, I feel like that kind of ties it in a bit. All right, I'm happy with that. I think for the inner corner, I'm going to use this light blue, which is Sweet Ghost Girl. I'm just gonna grab a little bit on my pinky. I'm just gonna place it down first, and then I will use a pencil brush to kind of spread it around. And I do, of course, want it to be brighter, so we'll pop into my Collective Cosmetics palette because I don't know why you guys would expect anything less at this point. And I'm gonna go into Dazzling, which is the blue highlighter shade, and I'm just gonna amp this up a little bit. Better already. That works. Still a little darker than I would normally choose for an inner corner highlight. I think we already have a little bit too much of that shadow there, but I'm not gonna change it at this point. Okay, let's go ahead and finish up. I'm gonna use Boots from ColourPop in the waterline. And that is pretty much the eye look done. I'm going to do a winged liner, lashes, catch up the other eye, find a lip, and we will wrap up with some first impression final thoughts. All right guys, so this is the finished look with liner, lashes, and lips. I ended up just using my Golden Gatsby, I always forget, Sittin' Pretty lashes from LA Splash. I need to pick up another pair of these and maybe some other styles because I really like their lashes. But yeah, those are the lashes, did black wing liner, and then for lips, I wanted to do something kind of like pink and sparkly, so I used Reality Stone gloss, which was from the Her Universe and Hot Topic Infinity Stones gloss set, but really any pink gloss would do. I just like this one because it's got a lot of like shimmer and sparkle in it, so thought it went with this extra colorful eye look. So let's do a little recap of kind of what I thought about some of these shadows. Definitely some interesting formulas in here. I felt like there was a lot of different formulas in here, which was a bit surprising. So first off, this pink one is the weirdest shade in the entire palette. So I don't know if you can see that. So it's like you can see a full-on like fingerprint indentation. The shadow just feels really soft. It kind of almost reminds me of those Stila highlighters that are like the dome, but it's like a putty feeling and you can like push on it. It's kind of like that. Now, I still feel like it's a really cool, interesting shadow. And I thought it was really interesting how it worked like this because I used it just by like tapping it, like doing a little like tap swipe kind of thing, not pushing down really hard. But when I swatched it, you know, I mean, like when you actually like swatch it, you get a really pretty kind of pink shade. So I like that you can kind of like tap out and also get a little bit of color to come off. And actually kind of what came off on my lid was more sparkle than anything. It has a little bit of like a blue and pink sparkle in there. So that's interesting. So yeah, it's an interesting shade. Aside from that, you have 3 other what I thought were metallic shades in here. These two, the green and light blue shade, are the same kind of metallic formula. They worked really nicely with a wet brush and you could build them up that way, but honestly, they worked better if you were just swiping them on with your finger. It was a bit more opaque that way. So I would recommend that, and then maybe get up into the crease with a more detailed brush, like a flat, wet brush. This shade up here, Coraline Jones, is very interesting because it looks like it's a metallic in the pan, but it's really not. It was just kind of weird that when I put it on the lid, it pretty much ended up looking identical to this matte blue shade right here. So I kind of don't understand the point of including both of them. I wish one of them would have been a darker shade, or that the metallic would have been a bit more intense so that they actually looked different, because they pretty much looked the same. Other than that, the masks that I used were pretty easy to work with. They were all a bit more on the lighter side. I don't know if it's just that I'm used to really intensely pigmented shadows now. I mean, a lot of the indie brands that I use have like that really soft, intense pigment kind of formula, which sometimes can be a little intimidating to work with, which is one of the main reasons I started leaving my primer tacky, because I felt like it's the easiest way to get that color to grab and not fall out all over your face. With these, I felt like I just needed to build them up. That's not necessarily a bad thing. It might make it a bit more user-friendly if you're not used to using colors. That way you can start small and build up, because they all did seem to build up nicely. That's pretty much all I can say about those shadows. I definitely need to use these a lot more to get a better feel for them. But yeah, overall, It's not a bad palette. I mean, I feel like the shadows are workable. I feel like they're really pretty colors. I feel like, you know, even though a shadow isn't super pigmented off the bat, you can still build it up, and I think that's okay. That's fine. Not everything has to be super intense pigment off the bat, and some people may enjoy it that way. They do still have this in stock if you want to buy it. It is limited edition. It did retail for $34, so just so you know that. So that's all. Hope you guys enjoyed this video. If you want to see more from this palette, I've been thinking about trying to shift to 4 videos a week. Obviously you didn't get that this past week because I had the flu earlier this week, so I've barely had much energy to do anything. But I'm thinking about trying to shift to doing like Tuesday, Thursday, Saturday, Sunday, kind of like I did the week before. And that'll give me a little bit more time to do more like revisiting videos or more fun, like, you know, 2-look palette videos or palette bingos. Like I did want to do something with the Love Luxe Beauty palette that I did the other day. Kind of come back and do like a 2 looks with like a full-on review. So I could maybe do something like that with this palette. If you guys are interested with seeing it again, I could do maybe another look in a review or 2 looks in a review, something like that, so that I have a chance to use all the shadows and give you a better idea of how they all perform and what I really think of them. So let me know if you guys would be interested in that, and I will see what I can do. So that's all I've got for you guys. I'll see you in my next video. Bye guys.